This PowerPoint is about the 5 characteristics of life. And as we kind of go through this PowerPoint, you should be going through the study guide. And within that study guide, you can fill out the blanks as we kind of go through the PowerPoint together. So first thing we want to start off with is we want to start off with a goal here. And so by the end of the lesson, we want to know that all living things share the same characteristics of life. And within that, we want to look at the essential question of our lesson here. Our PowerPoint is, what are the characteristics of life for all living things? So as we go through this, we're going to try to tackle this question here. First thing, question number 1 within our study guide is, what is biology? And if we look at the definition here, we're looking at the study of life or living organisms. And within this picture here, we got some nice pictures of a dog and a tree and a rose and a fossil there of some organisms. And how do these all relate together? Biologists end up looking at this here. So, these are the things that we try to relate together as a biologist. Number 2, a biologist is a person that studies plants, is going to study animals, and is going to study also the anatomy and physiology. So this is called a physiologist, which is just someone that would study the characteristics of living organisms and how they relate together. So it could be someone that cares about health, more like a doctor kind of job. Going on to question number 3, all life follows an organized pattern. We have 8 different characteristics here, and question number 4 here. So we have 8 different characteristics. So we go from atoms all the way to an organism, and within that we hit molecules, organelles, cells, tissues, organ system, organism, and so as a biologist, you're going to really look at how do atoms relate to organisms, and how does that kind of connect together within 1 through 8. A good memory mnemonic for all of these 8 is, all my odd cousins tried opening orange striped oranges. This is a good way to remember it, especially for your unit exam at the end of this unit. This is a good a visual of levels of structural organization of this. Instead of just looking at those words, this kind of gives us a good idea here. So we start from a chemical level of atoms here. We have our nitrogen and our oxygen and our hydrogen, and those all relate to connecting to molecules. So that's all number 1. Number 2 then, those molecules actually make our cells, and those cells actually make up tissues. Those tissues then make up our organs, and then we relate those all to different organelle systems. And then from those organelle systems, we look at our body. So 1 through 6. All living organisms display grace. So we're looking at number 5 on our study guide here, and getting into the gritty of our PowerPoint here. And so this acronym GRACE stands for growth, G for growth, R for reproduction, A for adaptation, C for cells, E for energy. These 5 different characteristics are what all living things need to have to be called a living organism. Going on to growth here, number 6. Growth, we would say, is a change in size. So living things become larger and more complicated as they grow. A good example is a baby that grows in size. Growth, we also look at development. And development, we would characterize or define as a change in form. So an example would be a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. Moving on, number 8, we would end up saying reproduction. And number 9, all living things produce young. So, for example, humans make babies, cats produce kittens, and pigeons lay eggs. Plants also produce by making seeds. So we just have different ways of producing an offspring or a young, and that is a key characteristic of a living organism. Number 9, we have 2 different ways in which we have reproduction. So one is asexual and one is sexual. So sexual reproduction, you have 2 organisms combine genetic information. This would be the human way in which we have, an offspring. The new organism, reading from right here, the new organism will have some characteristics from the mother and some from the father. It may look like either of them. It may not. This is where we look at down the road when we look at genetics. Unit 3. Asexual reproduction, one organism splits into 2 organisms in order to create another of the same species. So this is an exact copy, and this is actually where we'd have like plants, or we also have viruses, or we have just very very simple organisms. Going on to number 10, adaptation and adjustment to the environment. Number 10, adaptation, a trait resulting from evolution that allows a species the ability to survive better. This involves evolution, which comes down to, I believe, our unit 4, and evolution is the process by which a species changes over time. So an adjustment would be an individual's response to stimulus, which is temperature, air, predators, and one characteristic we call that is homeostasis. So homeostasis is keeping constant, a good way of saying that. Going on to number 4 here of our GRACE is cells, and question number 11, all living things are more composed of one or more cells. A cell is the smallest unit of a living organism. One cell is called unicellular, and many cells are called multicellular. Lastly, of our acronym of GRACE, we have energy. And number 15, all living things require energy and food. Energy is the ability to do work, metabolism, digestion, etc. So we have energy. We need that energy. We get that from our food, and obviously with digestion and giving us energy from there. Heterotrophs, which is animals and humans, we would consider ourselves in that group of heterotrophs, must ingest food for this purpose, and like I just said, hetero meaning different, troph meaning nourishment, and autotrophs, which are plants, make their own food, and auto meaning self, troph meaning nourishment, and so this is another nice beautiful picture of our sunset in the background there. Plants use our sun to create that energy, and then we end up using that. We would eat plants, we would eat other animals, and so we get that. Those are the hetero being the third. But we also have photosynthesis here, which is our light to make. So we end up, photosynthesis. The term photosynthesis stands for light to make, and for autotrophs, that would obviously be our food, which is the glucose. So wrapping up here, our PowerPoint, all living things must show the following. We must show growth or development. We must show reproduction. Must show adaptation. Must show cells. And lastly, must show energy. And that's it.